I don't know if you can see them there in the tree, but got two Nankeen kestrels up there. That's pretty certain they are. I'm going to try and get the big camera out, see if I can zoom in on it. I won't necessarily put it with this video when I zoom in, but we also have peregrine falcons, but they're sort of over in another town. There's a few pairs of peregrine falcons, and I mean they're the bona fide blooming hunting falcon sort of thingy that lives in the wild. Get an SD card and I'll see if I can get this thing fired up. Yeah, it's probably got flat batteries. Yeah. Madeirabine. YouTubers that are supposed to be sort of, you know, not big sometimes get big. Real bloody big. It's unfortunate we can't eat them, but if that was pulled out from underneath the soil, we would be able to. But I'm doing my best to spread the damn shit all over the place by dropping it on the ground. Now it seems as though it's crept from there right through into here. It's all above me here. You see all the little dangles hanging down there? Yeah. It's even see the little green leaves. Still getting up into here, so it's sort of progressing forwards in amongst the bunch. I'll pull this off and throw it in the bonfire. In the wood heater thingy. It's sort of trying to rain on and off. Filled up the last IBC, well, the one I was halfway into filling. That's now full. Hooked it into another one. I was gonna today. I'm definitely going to have to tomorrow get the little bit in, the bit that goes through the wall of the tank that's sort of got the rubbers and all that. I'm going to have to get that in tomorrow for the other one, because if the IBC it's in now fills, well then it's going to go straight in the other one. And I don't really have the right size tap either. I was meant to get it on the weekend. I completely forgot. There's a house through there. But I'll be going in not tomorrow but the day after. And at that point I can get a bigger tap. I've got taps, but they're all only for little half-inch lines and that, so I want to get a nice big one for a 1-inch line, so I'm not restricting the flow, and it's probably going to go into that 3/4-inch line that I've got left over and run down the hill, but I don't want to restrict it back to half an inch worth of flow, because it mightn't really play ball. Getting out bits of wire and stuff out of all this. There's a bit of stuff I'm going to keep there. I've got a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, there's a couple of bits of hardwood. A lot of this smaller shit I'm just sort of carrying out and chucking in this. And, yeah, I'll show you all the other stuff I've got. In about half an hour, it's going to be 5 o'clock, which is time for me to rock and roll with a chainsaw, and I'm going to get stuck into this with a chainsaw, because obviously that job, I don't have to. They said it was the start of this month, but I've been, you know, waiting 5 weeks for the start of this month to get here, and now it's here, finally. So any day now, theoretically, but after 5 weeks of waiting, you sort of get the feeling like you're waiting forever, even though, yes, it is the start of this month, and apparently when they're going to ring, so I don't do anything really until after 5 o'clock, but just lop some of these bigger ones, probably that one. Some of these ones that go down the ground I'm not touching, because they're actually holding the weight of all that, so we've got one here, there's another huge one in through there near those bundle of rocks. I've got this one. Yeah, and the ones I've been getting out so far, I have been laying against the thingo like that. Keep them off the ground and just prop them up against all the rocks. So these aren't bad. A lot of them have got, as I say, they've got nails in them and and shit like that, because they're used for some sort of a chicken pen while they were alive, and then they died around about the same time some of these smaller ones died. And some point I probably should just pick up these and actually sit them upright as well, prop them up against the fence around here as well. But yeah, just trying to sort of get into the main jungle part, you know, not really attacking the upright trees. No point, they still stand upright. And quite honestly, the fence will be behind these upright ones, so it doesn't matter, because you got the stone wall, then these, then the box thorn, then the house. But where the box thorn is where the fence is going to be. But a lot of these ones that are in this jungle are all laying on the ground, or a couple of feet off the ground, right through where I, want to put the fence in through here. But it's going to sort of somewhere probably come up just about where that fork is, come through there, and then go that way a little bit. So of course, in that, anything in this sort of line's got to go, and all this is going to go anyway, and just speeds up the process of clearing out the box thorns if I've already cleared out most of this. But some of this is going to have to be towed out, but some of the other ones, I may actually be able to slice this up a little bit, but I don't know, I might cut the end and then all this decides to collapse down, which I've got to be careful of, which is why I'm trying to cut off all the smaller bits off, as you can see, little dots there with the reciprocating saw, and then some of the bigger bits that are upright before I go slamming any chainsaw in underneath. And those of you who have got half a brain will know that if I come from in above, the weight of this will pinch it, so I've got to come from underneath with the bar. And if you didn't already realise that, you probably need a lesson in chainsawing physics. So yeah, a lot of this is all just held up literally by this here and some of this rubbish and these. And I expect that to sort of pretty much dump down if I was to cut through there with a chainsaw. But we'll find out. There's still little bits of wire that we're probably not going to be able to get to. But I've been getting what I can pull out. Little box thorns scattered all through, but yeah. Sort of, I'm getting a handful of little roots and stuff that I'm going to use in the wood stove, and it's interesting enough, you find all these little extra rock lines and bits and pieces sort of, I think this is where, sort of like this little rock line here, and I've got the stick there, that was sort of where much of this chicken pen was, because most of the stuff that's got stuff on it has come from, like, basically just around where these rocks are. One there, there's another one I think was somewhere here at one point. A bit of one here, one definitely there. There's something here, I don't know, can't remember. And they've gone and, sort of strange, put all bricks under the ground, like flipping pavers. Might have been, I don't know what that's for, might have been a path, might have been something to stop the foxes digging underneath the pen, who knows. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, I'll keep working away. I've been trimming up a lot of little bits just here and there, just trying to clean up all the gangles, and all the little odds and sods. And the burnability of some of this crap is just zilch, So is the factor of it actually holding the wind. And just clearing it all out to make it a lot easier when we get onto it all for real.
The seaboard was smashed as heavy rainfall, a king tide and huge seas combined to trigger widespread flash flooding. The storm began in southern Queensland, then travelled down the coast, creating havoc all the way to Victoria, then Tasmania, and the wild weather has proved deadly.
2 people have lost their lives in New South Wales and 1 in the ACT. There are reports of persons being missing in Tasmania. My thoughts and our thoughts go to the families of those people who have been so calamitously affected by this terrible weather.
At least 3 people have died after being caught in the storm. In New South Wales, a man's body was found in floodwaters in Sydney's southwest. Another man's body was found at Bowral in the Southern Highlands.
When you make a decision to enter floodwaters, no matter how experienced you might be of that area, no matter how innocuous the waters are that you are seeing, the unassailable fact is that when you take that decision to enter floodwaters, you are in fact making a life and death decision.
Well, for whatever reason, we have missed all the floods here, where I am. Interesting, quite interesting. Some places get phenomenal rainfall. State below me, or it could have even been my state, they got 8 inches in 2 days. And I'm just getting a little squirt of rain here and there, nothing really of any big deal. Did get a bit wet out in the rain. Camera's not going too great, is it, Tabby Cat? Can't see you too well. But anyway, I'll sort of just come in from the rain to dry my clothes out a bit, and I've actually started drying kindling on top of the wood heater, which you also there you can see. This isn't as dangerous as it looks because I've done it before, and if anything, what will actually happen is it's an aluminium sheet that used to come with plasterboard. It's about the thickness of Coke can, well maybe a little bit thicker actually, but for some reason they never used paper, they just used to put aluminium with printed letters on there, and the letters are still printed on it, but I basically whack the old bits of decking board on there and yeah, dry them out this way, and when they do get really hot, the sap comes out of the knots and gets on the aluminium, but yeah, you just got to keep it in mind, and then you'll turn them over or take them off and replace them with more, and yeah, basically you end up with dry kindling. These stupid 5-gallon blooming steel tin, I've had that in front of the damn wood heater for, like, right in front of the glass on the wood heater for 3 nights, and the frickin' wood in it is still wet as shit. And it's just like, I can't light stuff with this, you know, when it's this wet. It's just not going to flame and start a fire, so I've basically got to dry it out, and I'm getting some of the other stuff laying outside on the ground and drying that out as well. And building up a reasonable little stash, and if I start running out of that, I'll get some of the other stuff that's out there, that other rough sawn junk that I've been cutting up previously, 1/2 inch by 1.5 inch or whatever it is. It's I sort of need to dry myself out a little bit too, so I thought I'd fire up the wood heater, and some of the stuff that, like, I'm getting quite ahead there. We cut out quite a lot with the chainsaw, like, you know, and I couldn't help myself and had to start cutting some up into logs. And I thought, no, hang on, let's just sort of concentrate on, you know, getting rid of the heavier stuff. And there's quite a lot that I've got that's going to be, you know, worthwhile for, you know, the wood stove and the wood heater. Sort of stuff that sort of, there's a fair bit that's 2 inch in diameter, and there's some of it that's sort of like, oh geez, it's like, hell, it's like 4.5 inch in diameter, some of it. And there's quite a bit of that sort of stuff. The smaller stuff I'm just burning out there, and that's outdoor wood heater fire pit thingy majigger, and Yeah, there's another bit of a not so great thing. I know the gum tree in the side there has termites. Now it's not borer, it's actual termites, or white ants, as we often call them here. And somehow I've actually got cypress pine with bloody termites in the middle of that. And I'm not talking on the outer edges. There's a lot of borers that have got into the outer edge. All this stuff is roots, so you're not going to really... Oh, you'll see a little bit, because this root's been above the ground for a long time. There's little holes and bits and pieces, and that's been borer, but there's some that's actually right in the centre. And borers are different because they don't have legs, and you got termites right in the centre that do. This is not affected, but there's other stuff out there that is. And I knew the gum tree had it, but I didn't think any of the cypress pines have it. And I've actually got a building book who, hell, I think it might even be in the cupboard behind me, that states that cypress pine is resistant to termites. And yet here I am finding it inside damn cypress pines around my house. And it's only sort of, there's a few I reckon. I reckon a lot of those, some of those little dead ones that you can see in the left there, those smaller ones that have been dead for years, some of those I reckon have been hit with it. Because some of those, the branches on those are terribly rotten compared to some of the other cypress pine stuff. And it may be because they died many years before, but cutting up some of the dregs of one of those that had collapsed onto a box thorn, that's where I found the blooming termites, right in the centre of the wood, and I thought, you bastards. But I know, this building book I've got says, no, you don't get termites in cypress pine, it's resistant to it. It reminds me of the time my biology teacher told me that maggots will never go into anything except dead meat. And they just will not eat any live animal, full stop. They only eat dead stuff. Which is very intriguing because I've spent my entire life seeing fly strike in sheep. Now, there ain't... It's on the internet, I'm sure, but I've only seen photos of it shown once in public. I've never seen it in newspapers. I'm sure it's on the internet, but people don't really like to show it because it causes a little bit of kerfuffle amongst people who don't know what they're looking at, like these animal rights activists and stuff like that. Fly strike is basically stinky areas of the sheep, usually where they've been pissing on their own wool. You have flies come and lay eggs in there, and the maggots form, and yeah, they eat the sheep alive. And I've seen a few that are, over my life I've probably seen two that are close to death, and one of them I actually seen it die shortly thereafter, like 10 minutes after I initially saw it, of fly strike. And they get eaten alive by maggots. Yet my biology teacher would hands down not believe me, and I explained it and I said it, and he just, nah, it does not happen. Yeah, sure. Just like there's no termites in cypress pines either. You see there is a pretty decent sized mushroom. I actually had one that was, oh gee, probably a third bigger again than this. And bugs had sort of got into it. There's these little mites that get into these things. And there was a second one as well that was probably about 2/3 the size of that, and that one would have been edible, and I just couldn't be bothered. I was too busy that day. And so I left those in the spot where I found them. And I went back, and the one I just showed you, plus this one here, have come up in the exact same spot, which is only to be expected because it's the way that it works. It means there's mycelium under the surface. As you notice, mycelium is basically the root structure and the plant per se. You can think of it as the mould, and these are the fruiting bodies. You don't plant a mushroom, you get mycelium going, and then the mushrooms come up. But I explained all that with the shiitake anyway, so as you can see, it looks a little bit warped, especially that one. Very warped. That's because they're pushing up through clay. They actually had clay on the top of them and still might have a little bit. Anyway, I'll give it a little bit more of a wash and trim the base off there and slice them up and cook them up. So, yeah, that's, long story short, I'm not surprised they come up in the area where they did. That's good, because they are edible, even if you can't see them sitting on a black table. And I will be eating those later on. Oh, the camera doesn't do that justice. Gee, they're beautiful. It's actually a lot darker blue than what you can see in the camera. It's almost a purple. Yeah, that's just one out of a Rosella's tail or something, I'm pretty certain. The Eastern Rosella. No, Crimson Rosella. The Eastern Rosella's got the green and the yellow and the red. Got to move a few things, one of which already got moved, and pretty certain that's actually got Citroen tyres on it, believe it or not. Uncle scrap metal joint. Somebody dumped shit out the front of a scrap metal joint in the middle of the night, and that was part of it. And my uncle thought, oh well, fuck it, I'm having it. So hooked it on and took it home. I've got a few more things to move inside there, and I'm seriously thinking of taking this on. You know, when you look at it, like it's straight up. Look at the breeze blowing the other way. The breeze is it's trying to rain down there at the moment. The breeze is stronger than usual, actually. It's sort of, yeah, it's been a bit windy today, quite a bit windy. And although the equinox winds are gone, just today and yesterday has been reasonably windy. Although I'm sort of sheltered here where I am. Famous last words as the wind starts blowing in the microphone. But anyway, it's sort of calming down a bit, and I think as it gets later in the day and the sun goes down, it'll, you know, slow right up. And even if it sort of doesn't slow right up before the sun's down, well, might light her up anyway. That is so ridiculously full of nuts and stuff. A lot of what you can see in there is actually the cypress pine leaves that have fallen down and created like a mat in there. So that should go up pretty good. You'll see it's slightly green, but there's so much dead in it that it'll probably be burning pretty well. And this one here is more green, and I hope it gets that one. And there's a thing of wood on the other side, but it's so green on the other side. It's actually, this one's all shooting buds out, not quite there. Round here, so that's probably not gonna want to burn because it's very sparse and there's a lot of buds, and I'm hopefully won't catch this on fire. You know, it's one of these things that'll probably lick the flames. We'll be licking for 5 minutes and that'll be about it. You know, a lot of that's not too big but not too small in there, but it won't get out to this piece obviously. The sheep have been busting to get hold of those little buds, as you can see. Gee, they lose a bit of wool in the process, but now the grass is coming up, they don't really give a crap, So anyway, and it's sort of trying to intermittently rain. I think the wind's going the right way. The forecast for tomorrow is it's going to rain quite a bit, not friggin' shitloads, not going to flood like everybody else, but it's going to rain a little bit. And it's sort of intermittent rain, and the breeze going the right way, and I reckon this will go without too much of a problem. And yeah, If it gets bad, I'll start praying, and maybe God will turn the rain on, and then I'll be right again. But really speaking, like, I can't see, with the wind blowing that way, how it's going to hit that. And the pure fact of the matter is that doesn't even line up with the bulk of the loose stuff. And especially won't line up with the wind blowing the flipping opposite way. So I think I'll make a go at stuff the firefighter and waiting for another few months. I think we'll make a go of it. There's a fair hunk of wood as it gets in closer. I do have a chainsaw that's ready to go, and if need be, I know it's not terribly glorious idea, but it does have a sealed fuel tank and all that. And yeah, I've seen them using the same brand in bushfires as the brand I've got. We can sort of chop off an end and then sort of, you know, just let the rest of it burn, and the rest of it from where we chop it off be saved. But I reckon it's one of these things will have monstrous flames for about 5 minutes, and then that'll be it, you're gone. And so many times I've seen that with this stuff, because it's all fine stuff, you know, it burns very quick, and because there's a lot of it, the flames are going right up in the air as it's burning fast, and all of a sudden it's gone again, you know, and it's gone as quick as it come. But anyway, I shall, I've gone and mowed where the pot plants are with the little whippersnipper, weed eater, weed whacker, whatever you want to call it, and I've moved all the pots back a bit, and I've got to move them all forwards. And yes, it is indeed trying to rain. I can see the rain between here and the truck. Yeah, anyway. Alrighty, I'm actually standing underneath the trees in here. Yeah, expected a colossal shitstorm, and I had to light this hunk here that was so dense from the other side, and it still hasn't got all the blasted leaves in that. It's just smouldering away. It's, basically, there's a little box thorn there. You've got to trim the bottom of that, and then just hit that with a chainsaw down there. And I have a nice little walkway to come in through, just so long as I get rid of those last couple of little box thorn there. I've been walking through there, moving this around with a shovel, trying to throw coals in underneath this and in underneath that. I may have a go at lighting that. Big gap underneath, but as soon as you get up about a foot, it's very thick. So I'll try and burn that out, but for all the big fire risk, it was the most friggin' disappointing bloody fire. As you can see, it's still red hot and smouldering away on the ends there. But yeah, no big deal. Might let them continue to smoulder, and just check in the morning. I might have to just squirt them out, but anyways, gives them a bit of access anyway, especially once they cut these. These are very loose, it's bugger all of them, and that's just sort of go in there with the secateurs and snip the base off and try and pack them under or do something like that. I want to try and get that one today, hopefully today. Ground's still very hot, but what actually happens is it burns the top layer of all the cypress pine leaves, and then you can sort of scrape it back with the, what's his name, shovel, and then you sort of got a clear spot. But over there I've got this stupid thing hanging in the way, so I just might have to hit that with a reciprocating saw. Snip a few other bits and pieces of the lops so I can get right in there without burning hot things touching me on the back and whatnot.